Hi, everybody. This is Ruthie and Anna of So Much Talk, SEW So. And we are going to be talking about setting up your tailor shop or your sewing room. Um, we're a professional tailor, so ours is set up for production. It may help in your own personal sewing rooms too. So that's a way cool thing that we could do. But we have just moved our major fitting space to a storefront, we'll call it. It's part of a share space. So we're super excited about that. And we have open spaces and that we can use to consult that aren't in our area. I have a cute little 80-foot room, 80 square foot room. It's a nice little square, kind of mostly square, kind of a short rectangle. And it's what I'm having to do is move enough stuff to work here, but I'll do any major cutting out and I'll still at my other studio, which is part of my house. But it's come to where we needed to move to see people someplace else. But when you have 5 people coming in a day and you need to sew in between that, it's all of how production works. And when you're a professional seamstress, what we are is production artists. We work on more than many of us anyway, work on more than one item at a time for different customers. So, for example, in my shop, I have currently, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different projects going at once. Now, no, I don't sit here and sew all of them at once, but they all have a date and a timeline that's set out. And so I know I go from this project to this project to this project to this project. And sometimes I'll toss in another project over here. And it's keeping track of all of that in multiple ways. One is on your calendar. We keep a calendar where we keep track of when people come in, and then I put on the calendar the day I see them. I pick a due date and we put on the calendar the due date. So one of the things you have to know is how long does it take to do a fitting? I do a lot of women's clothing. And with women's clothing, I have found that I need 30 minutes to an hour. So at our shop, just to give us enough time for transition and everything, we do fittings on the or on the half hour as it if we start the first fitting at 10:30, the next one's at 9:30, that kind of thing. So knowing what that is, a bridal fitting will take an hour. A bridesmaid's fitting will probably only take 15 to 30 minutes. Now, depending on how many of you are working in your shop and how tightly you want scheduled, you can totally take that and work with that. Also, the size of your shop and how much fitting room you have, all of those need considered. So for us, we do a fitting an hour. That gives people time to be late. It gives people time to get here. It gives time to talk, and it gives time to get everything pinned because we do pinning as well as chalking. Um, I have a rack that's divided into half. And this half, the left half, as it happens, is all the stuff that needs done. When they're done, I move them to the right half. On the left half, when I get it finished, I've only been here 2 weeks. I moved in the first, which was a week ago, Monday. Um, and somewhere in the mix of everything to move over here, I have more little rings that'll go on my bar, and they'll go 1 through 31. And I'll just put in those items as to when they're due. So as they come in, I hang them up on the date that they're due. Then I move them to the second half of the rack when they're done, and there they will go under the first letter of the first name of my customer because I tend to be a first name person. Some people might do it under the last name of the customer because once I have them done, preferably before the due date, but depending on how tight we are, sometimes it's on the due date. I really don't, I'm not as worried about the due date. once they're done. So when they're done, I just move them under the name of the customer. That's how I easily find them. I'm also working on a system of baskets for anything I can't hang up. And that would be the same thing. They'd move from the left side of a rack to the right side of a rack. And on the front will be a name and a due date. So they'll go from the do side to the done side. And I also have bags to put them in so that if they're not hanging, they will go into a bag. So I have a spot for the bags and they'll go into the little containers that they have. These are pieces that I'm looking at now in my little room here to set it up. Also, where am I going to put a little ironing board? Where am I going to put an iron? So what I've found, and look on our website, ruthieKays.inc. Look on our Facebook page, Ruthie Kays Alterations.
The website
and
is ruthieKaysInc.com.
.com. And thank you, Anna. And look on Instagram. It should be Ruthie Kays Inc. there also, right, Anna? And we're going to have pictures and little reels with different pictures of the shop because I have found a small ironing board because my standard ironing board I have at home is not going to fit in this room, not have movement. So this is a little half-size ironing board that hangs on the wall. And I have a hanger that can also hold my iron because I have an iron in both places. So then it's like, okay, now what kind of a bunch of containers do I need to hold my zippers that I have over here? Because I'm going to need some here, right? And to hold pins and needles and buttons. So all of those need a home. And that's what we're figuring out in our new space. In our old space, I have containers that hold all my buttons and I have them by sizes and colors. So I'll have all of the medium to large ones in black and the medium to large ones in non-black. The shirt buttons in black, dark colors and the shirt buttons in light colors. That's how there are on my other place, but I have a bigger space there. So I have more room for them. So looking here, it's like, okay, because I want it to stay cute because this is where all my fittings happen. And so these are the challenges. So if you have any ideas too, post them to us. Send us pictures of what you have, especially if you have a small space, because we love our space and we've got a new carpet on it. I have a new clock. I'm sorry, I like clocks. A lot of people will argue that in your sewing area where you see customers, you shouldn't have a clock. I kind of like a clock, and my reasoning is one, it keeps me on time, and two, it keeps my customers on time. You know, sometimes they have appointments too, or they're aware or need to be aware that I also have other appointments. And it's kind of a nice way to, I don't sit here and stare at it, but I can superstitiously glance at it and see it, and just reminds us people have things to do. So I have my mirror here and I have my clock and I have a table with a sewing machine and I have my serger, which I just brought over behind me. And when it's really hot because there's not air conditioning in my other studio at my apartment, then I can bring the other sewing machine over so that my associate who works with me can work here also in the air conditioning. So, how would you fix your space? I'm trying to keep it real minimal here, but I still need to have, like I said, my zippers, which are sitting in a bucket on my sewing table. And we're still looking a little cluttered as we're organizing all of that. I have to have a place for my computer because this is where I record everything. So it needs a home. My business license, I'm going to put pictures on the back wall here. We're working at getting them done right now, where it'll have my wedding dress, which is the first one I made right out of college that I designed myself. It will have my sister's wedding dress, which was, I want that piece, that piece, that piece, and that piece of those dresses, please, sister. And it has my sister-in-law's wedding dress, who is only like 5'2", and she had a beautiful 6-foot train, long sleeves, and it went up to the neck and the top and was all lace, and it was such a fun dress to make. And then I have my daughter's dress, Anna, who is here with us, and hers was specially made to her specifications. And I love Anna's dress because it really gets interesting responses. It's not a dress that people just go, "Oh, what a lovely dress." It's a dress where they go, "Huh, why did you do that?" Or, "Wow, that's so Anna." And I love that because it so expresses
At
who
least
she is.
at least I'm unique.
Oh, totally. But you had very specific reasons for what you wanted with your dress. She had a very unique belt to wear with her dress
Mhm.
that was her grandmother-in-law's, right?
Yeah.
And it was a metal belt with a metal bow on it from probably around the 1920s or 30s,
I think
I
so.
would guess.
Maybe the 60s, but yeah.
I would guess a little earlier just due to the style on it,
Yeah.
but it's very unique. Plus, Anna loved to swing dance and she had a way cool pair of pumps she wanted to show off. So hers is like literally the bottom of her ankle. It definitely shows her shoes, but it's not T length per se, which
Yeah.
is usually above the ankle.
Yes.
She also decided not to have sleeves, but she has beads that draped over her arm, as I'm drawing on myself here, like sleeves. Um, so it was a fun dress to make. She picked out the lace for the top
Which I
and
still love. It was really
the
good lace.
material for the bottom. Yeah. And then she had a metal crown that was like an elf crown. So, yeah, and if we get a good picture of just the two of them, I also had made her husband Stephen's kilt, and he also wore a crown on his head like the elf crown. It was a unique and fun and wonderful wedding. Really enjoyed it
Aw, thanks.
and being able to make her dress. So I want to put those pictures behind me on the wall. And then I make brocade vests that I love to make brocade vests. Most of the ones all of the ones I've made so far. Nope, nope. I have made two for women, have been for men. And it's been super fun. And I'm going to do a couple pictures of those mixed in with the wedding gowns on the wall because I made them for my son and my husband in part. So easy to get pictures of, right? So I have a space that I need to keep minimal on the sewing, have enough stuff because anything super major will be done at home in my other studio. And this needs to look inviting and cute and fabulous. And it's given us ideas to where at another point to get another little room because I love my room here. It has a skylight. That's the light you're seeing. So it gives us beautiful, true light. Um, to have another little room in the same area that I can set up for just sewing. And that's where all the other mess will be. So, what would you do? Setting up your shop has to be something to where you can work on a regular basis in it. And so that's what we're aiming for with our new shop in our new spot. And we're so excited about it. And if you have a new spot or you're redoing your room, send us a picture. Put it in the link on the bottom there. We would love to see what you have and what you will. And do look because I will be taking pictures and we'll be putting them in reels and we'll be posting groups of pictures onto the different spots Instagram, Facebook, Google. We'll put some of the studio there and it's going to be a lot of fun. This is Ruthie of Ruthie and Anna of Ruthie K's Inc. and RK Artisans and so much talk.